10th anniversaries are often events to celebrate.And, while Wales' 23-15 Six Nations win over England on Valentine's Day, 2009, was certainly something to cherish. The chaos that ensued involving some players drinking in the city centre afterwards made headline news for all the wrong reasons. We take a look at the infamous Sunday drinking session in Cardiff that led the Wales team management to discipline 4 players and warn the rest of the squad about standards of behaviour. Wales coach Warren Gatland had pulled the pin on a few verbal grenades beforehand, saying Martin Johnson's side were negative, disjointed and having regressed since the autumn. England flanker James Haskell claimed the New Zealander could give legendary Manchester United boss Sir Alex Ferguson a run for his money when it came to the psychological mind games. Gatland's trick hit the spot as the England team were left to rue an indisciplined performance that saw Mike Tyndall and Andy Goodson binned and allowed Stephen Jones to kick 5 penalties and Leigh Halfpenny 1 three-pointer. Halfpenny crossed for Wales' solitary try after full-back Lee Byrne drew the wing Mark Cueto and put the wing over. With Wales not playing the following weekend, the day after the England victory was quickly earmarked as a chance for a big celebration by some players. Things did not turn out well.The South Wales Echo revealed the antics of Gavin Henson after he and other Welsh players went drinking in Cardiff City Centre 24 hours after the win over England. They reported witness accounts of how Henson had jumped up on a pool table in the Queen's Vaults pub opposite the Millennium Stadium and had then been let out of the pub by teammate Byrne. They later visited the Reflex nightclub, an O'Neill's pub on St Mary Street.Security. Staff working on the doors of the premises visited by Henson and Byrne and teammates Mike Phillips and Andy Powell said Henson was abusive. The bar manager at Reflex decided to shut the club for the rest of the night.A. Spokesperson for RAS Security, who managed the door staff at O'Neill's and Reflex, said at the time, "All the door staff are fed up of Gavin Henson because he's an absolute nightmare when he is drinking." This is not the first time this has happened. There have been several other occasions in the past. He's like a spoiled child who wants to shout and be the center of attention. As far as we are concerned, he won't be allowed in any of the bars or clubs that we look after, and that amounts to around 60% of the premises in the city centre. Gavin Henson then went into O'Neill's with the others and was being rude to someone at the bar, so a barman called in the door staff, the security spokesman said. It was then the police were called. When they turned up, they didn't seem to know how to handle the whole thing. It also emerged that, after speaking to police and leaving the city centre, Henson and Powell turned up at a wedding party at the upmarket co-ed YMWSTWR Hotel in Bridgend. Henson was said to be in high spirits. A guest at the wedding, a woman who asked to remain anonymous, said everyone was surprised to see them turn up, but apparently they knew the best man from the wedding. Henson ran over and Rugby tackled him on the dance floor and took out about 6 other guests who were dancing at the time. Gavin was covered in blood and had been drinking. Other guests were just shocked and couldn't believe what was going on. The hotel's deputy general manager, Les Rees, confirmed the pair had arrived at the hotel shortly after midnight and briefly went into the wedding party. They then moved into the hotel bar until around 2 a.m. before they left. He said, "The players arrived in high spirits, but I didn't hear of any problems caused or any damage." Some of the guests were pleased to see them, others weren't. Wallace and Line serialized Lee Byrne's book The Byrne Identity, in which he revealed what really happened behind the scenes on that infamous night out involving Warren Gatland star players. In his book, he said, "We'd played well, and since there was no game the following week, the management gave us license to go out and enjoy ourselves. So the Sunday following the game saw Filthy, Mike Phillips, Henson, Powley, JT, Rhys Thomas and I head out for a few beers. After a couple at the Three Golden Cups in Bridgend, we caught taxis into Cardiff, where we carried on the session at the Queen's Vaults pub opposite the Millennium Stadium. As the beers flowed, things got a bit heated. Gav kicked a bar stool from under JT, who'd fallen asleep. JT retaliated by shoving Gav, who in turn hurled a pool ball across the bar, where it smashed into one of the optics. At this point, we thought it best to leave. We beat a hasty retreat, only to be collared by the police, who'd been informed of the trouble. Powley started getting agitated, so they put him in the back of the van to calm down, but for the most part they were remarkably good about it. They even ordered a bystander who was filming the incident on his mobile to delete the footage. Powley was shaking the van back and forth like a caged gorilla. Henson, also the worse for wear, was trying to smooth things over by flicking banknotes at the policeman in a jokey bid to buy us out. Luckily for us, they had a sense of humor about it. So, while the pub flare-up made the papers, none of the other stuff did. You can read other extracts from Lee Byrne's autobiography here, including his claims Rob Howley humiliated him in front of teammates. The dressing down from the Welsh team management. Wales issued a warning to their national squad about the standards of behaviour expected of them. They admitted the feel-good factor generated by last Saturday's victory over England had been dissipated by the antics of 4 players in Cardiff City Centre the following night. Henson, Powell, Jonathan Thomas and Rhys Thomas stood up voluntarily in a team meeting and apologised for what the Welsh Rugby Union described as varying degrees of regrettable conduct during visits to bars in Cardiff. Powell was actually the only one of the quartet who played against England. Henson and Jonathan Thomas were injured, while Rhys Thomas was omitted from the match day 22. Wales team manager Alan Phillips said that the 4 had been disciplined and that he did not expect a repeat of the behaviour. "What happened was not acceptable," he added. "We felt let down, but everyone knows where they stand now, and it is time to move on. If there is a repeat of this, we will not be so charitable. These are tough times with people losing their jobs, and it's very important that we conduct ourselves properly. We had managed things well on Saturday night as a team. We didn't stop anyone having a few beers in a controlled environment to celebrate the win, because there were 2 weeks to the next game. There was no need for anyone to be out on Sunday. We should have turned up on Wednesday after a few days off, really bouncing and happy after a very good win, but this has just made life difficult." We are dealing with young people aged between 20 and 30, and some of them react to disappointment in different ways. They need to have a blowout occasionally, but there has to be a time and a place for it. None of the players involved tried to hide away from what had happened. They did not run away and make excuses but fronted up. Given the pressures they are under, they will slip up occasionally,